I think that we're struggling from a lot of the things that we struggled from during the campaign, which was that we may be pushing back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people can hear us or see us. Some of us have the ability to be a little bit more amiable when it comes to working in different types of platforms, and therefore you end up being seen a lot more. I will tell you that I have conversations consistently, day and night. There are so many chats that we have where we are talking about what we're going to do, and we're talking about what we are doing. But a matter of amplifying those things is a lot more difficult. And I think that it's important that those of us that sit in Congress have to figure out what is really the best way for us to communicate. And we've got to settle into that and recognize that not everyone's going to sit on a podcast. Not everyone's going to be social media savvy, but they are going to have to find their communication lane. And so I do think that it is something that we struggle with. We know right now we obviously have X that's owned by Elon.
It is hard to imagine that there is anything that could make Republicans more unpopular right now. But it's a government shutdown. And unfortunately for them, it's looming large because it seems like Republicans don't have the votes. Seems like they may need Democrats. And one certain Democrat is giving Republicans the bad news that they are dreading so much about that possible outcome. It's Jasmine Crockett sticking a dagger in their plan. And we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's check out what Jasmine Crockett had to say.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, I just have to say thank you to the American people, because clearly your resilience and your resistance, it is right there front and center where we need it to be. The fact that they showed up in record numbers all over the country, showing up and confronting those members of Congress that have decided, as I stated in a hearing the other week, that they wanted to castrate their constitutional duties. So I am excited to see that the American people are not sitting by idly and pretending as if they don't understand how the three co-equal branches of government work. Unfortunately, the Republicans in the House have decided they don't really care. Whatever Elon wants to do, who cares that they got elected to office? They're going to collect their checks. They're going to take the congressional delegation trips around the world. And that's pretty much all they're going to do, and campaign for the next election through sitting through committees. But at the same time, we know that Elon Musk supposedly does not have any authority whatsoever, according to the White House, at least in their court filings. But the idea that this guy thinks that he can go in and send out an email to the entire federal government and have everyone report to him, when at the same time they're saying that he has no authority, is bewildering to me. But I'm going to tell you who also has shocked me. Some of the leaders of these organizations that have said, we are not going to relinquish our duties. We understand our jobs. We understand that these people report to us and they don't report to Musk. And so with that, I do want to applaud anybody that at this moment has the audacity to actually do what they were either elected to do or do exactly what they are paid to do.
Congresswoman, there are a lot of people who still are out there wondering, where's the fire and the fight from elected Democrats? Where are they? Why aren't they bringing, fighting fire with fire? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that critique? And two, do you think the Democrats in Congress are getting better at pushing back against what's happening?
I think that we're struggling from a lot of the things that we struggled from during the campaign, which was that we may be pushing back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people can hear us or see us. Some of us have the ability to be a little bit more amiable when it comes to working in different types of platforms, and therefore you end up being seen a lot more. I will tell you that I have conversations consistently, day and night. There are so many chats that we have where we are talking about what we're going to do, and we're talking about what we are doing. But a matter of amplifying those things is a lot more difficult. And I think think that it's important that those of us that sit in Congress have to figure out what is really the best way for us to communicate. And we've got to settle into that and recognize that not everyone's going to sit on a podcast. Not everyone's going to be social media savvy, but they are going to have to find their communication lane. And so I do think that it is something that we struggle with. We know right now we obviously have X that's owned by Elon. We've also got, you know, the other news network that I won't name and some other things. So there's an actual ecosystem that pumps out this disinformation consistently on behalf of them.
Congresswoman, let me get you on a policy thing. I'm going to play for you what Leader Jeffries said on CNN today when asked whether a shutdown was on the table, because we have that March 14th deadline coming up. Listen to what he has to say, and I'll talk with you about it on the other side.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because as we've been discussing, we have to stop this reckless Republican budget from going forward, and that's going to be on the floor on Tuesday. What we do know is that the Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It is their responsibility to fund the government.
Congresswoman, do Democrats have the stomach to withhold votes from Republicans in order to keep the government open?
I certainly hope so. I know that I'm not going to vote for their proposal for sure. Here's the thing. Our strength lies in standing together. And honestly, that is a message that not only applies to us that are sitting in the House, but that actually applies to Democrats across the board. The more that we can stand together, the stronger we are. Everyone knows united we stand, divided we fall. And so we were divided in the election. We can't allow them to divide us at this moment. I have reached out to my colleagues and asked if there are colleagues that are concerned. Talk to me about what those concerns are, because I want to make sure that we can provide cover for them if they have concerns and feel as if they are compelled to vote for this budget. But the leader is absolutely correct. And I hate the headlines that keep saying the Democrats may shut the government down. This isn't up to the Democrats, right? We're not the ones that are going to shut the government down. The question is if we will do everything to keep the government open. But right now they have a Trump trifecta. So when and if the government shuts down, it is going to be on Trump and his minions. It is not going to be on us as Democrats, because we weren't elected to gut Social Security, to gut Medicaid and Medicare, to gut USAID, to gut any of these programs that they're going after. We didn't. That's not what we campaigned on. So that's not what we're going to do. We'll let them to do that by themselves.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, as always, thank you very much.
I have repeated this again and again, but it's because I think it's so important, the media asking Democrats and framing this question, putting the onus on them of whether they're going to step up. Will you help Republicans stop a government shutdown? Are you going to prevent it from happening? Democrats aren't in the majority. I don't know why this is on us. We always have to be the adults in the room, I was told. And as Jasmine Crockett likes to say a lot, that Donald Trump won the biggest victory in history, that he has some overwhelming mandate that this was just a sweep cultural movement across America in favor of Donald Trump's agenda. Shouldn't Republicans be able to pass something? And especially as Jared Moskett pointed out on the Bulwark AK podcast, if you haven't listened to that, you should definitely go check it out. Republicans are going to say there's so much waste in government. Why are they trying to re-up the same budget? Why do they want to pass a CR instead of a new budget entirely? Don't they see all this fraud in there? And as Jared Moskowitz said, if they get Democrats to go along with passing a continuing resolution, keeping the same budget, they're just going to say that Democrats were the ones who supported keeping the waste and fraud and abuse in the government that Elon and his Doge bags are apparently getting out. Now, of course, none of that is true. It would be Democrats stepping in to make sure the country does not fall apart even more because of not just the Republican in the White House, but the Republicans in Congress. But that's how they're going to try to spin it. And so that I'm so glad Jasmine Crockett is just not putting up with any of that. She is framing the message the right way. We already told y'all during campaign season that the Republicans don't know how to govern. This is an obstructionist party. They do not move things forward. They cannot reach across the aisle. The only thing that they can do with their arms is point the finger. It is just a blame game for them. It's not about governing. There are no accomplishments that they can point to. It's just about obstruction. So put the onus on them, make them clean up their mess. They're not going to be able to. And then we got to talk about it, which is part of the message Bernie Sanders delivered, and a clip I want to take a look at right here.
Brothers and sisters, I honestly believe that we can take on Trumpism and defeat it. We can. What the ruling class, these guys don't become billionaires because they're dummies. They're not. They're very smart guys. They work very hard. And one of the things that they do, which is very powerful and effective, is they essentially get the word out in one way or another to the people of this country that says, look, we're multi-billionaires. We own the media. We own the political process. We own the company that you work for. We got the power. You don't. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. Your job is to work for us. That's what your job is. And they want to, when they say those things implicitly, what they are trying to do is demoralize the American people and make us feel hopeless. Oh, God, we can't do anything. That's what they want you to believe. It ain't true. If we do not allow Trump and his friends to divide us up by the color of our skin or our religion or where we were born or our sexual orientation, if we stand together, we win. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a PhD in math, but I do know that 99% is a hell of a larger number than 1%.
I loved how Bernie ended that, not just combating Trumpism, but out of this fight, coming together to build a government that serves our country the way we want to. It's not just about fighting back against Donald Trump. There is so much energy. Democrats have so much momentum right now that we desperately need to seize. Bernie's doing it. AOC is doing it. Chris Murphy is doing it. Jasmine Crockett is obviously doing it every single day. But it's not just to take up this mantle against Trump. It's also to present an alternative option for what government can be. Instead of planes falling out of the sky, people can be taken care of instead of giant cuts to Medicare and Social Security. You can feel safe and comfortable knowing that medical bankruptcy will not be the #1 cause of bankruptcy in America. That is an alternative that we can fight for. That is a goal that we can work towards, not just going against Donald Trump, but positioning ourselves with a better alternative. Because we don't just want to hear the same old doom and gloom. We need a way forward. We need something that we want to accomplish now. Of course, getting into all the nitty-gritty little details all the time isn't necessarily the most important thing. But let's have a different way forward. Better way forward, something that we're working towards. That is certainly what we're going to talk about every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.